My congratulations.
My friend that was here back in September that visited, Bill talked to him a lot because they both retired larger now, but he sends them to my wife, so.
Wow.
But he's the one that does it.
All right. Well, I won't make fun of it.
Okay.
And I want to just congratulate you. Everybody talked about doing something, and you're the only one that followed up.
Right. I'm going to protect my part of the table. I can't speak for these guys.
That's right. That's right. Anything else, sir?
No, that's it.
Okay, we'll move on. I wonder if our administrative assistant has anything to bring to the group today. You're good? Okay. We knew that. Public comment. If you would like to comment on anything that's not on the agenda, I'll be glad to have that occur. Yes, ma'am.
Is there an update, and Jay may know this, on this Verizon tower over here that looks like a tree? No, it's Verizon.
Right. So
Because I stopped and asked.
West Cliff Park. Yeah, I talked to him as well. I did not get a online, when they're going to bring an online date. So, Commissioner Prince,
It's growing brand new.
you need to come on to our side of the county
Looks
once.
like
I guess
it looks
so.
like part of the tree.
Looks like a-
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
It's working.
Mr. Klein, you had a comment?
2 meetings ago.
I did.
Okay. And I do have, I'm just trying to understand the commissioner's purpose and response
In general.
in general.
Yes. Certainly I defer to these gentlemen. Let me hold off. If you'd like to speak. This is my New Year's resolution. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that.
I really feel that like the commissioner just said, in regard to the safety, health, and welfare of the residents, well, the residents of Custer County includes the HOAs, I believe.
Yes.
I'm also concerned with, and I believe you guys are responsible for the emergency vehicles that go out there, the Sheriff's Department, EMS, EOM, Search and Rescue, I believe. Is that part of your jurisdiction also?
To some extent.
To a certain extent?
Not the emergency services vehicles. That is not our responsibility.
Okay, well, the problem I'm having, once again, you guys already know what I'm going to talk about. We have many issues out here in that subdivision of the Centennial Ranch and Aspen Mountain Ranch Association. Even though we are an HOA, I still believe you guys being the commissioners and in responsibility to the citizens of Custer County do have some feedback or jurisdiction in the citizens. Not only the citizens that live out there, the ones that visit, because we do have public roads, and also you have the EMS guys going out there, the Sheriff's Department, and so on going out there. And I talked to all of them, and each and every one of them say there are major issues going out there to help personnel and so on out there. So not only are they putting the lives in jeopardy of the ones who they're trying to save, they are putting their lives on the line trying to save those people because they can't reach those people. Now, we have a president, just so you know, and I'm going to give you the documentation on it so you know I'm not just barking up the wrong tree here. We have a president that puts an article out in the association newsletter and states that he's trying to tell us what kind of vehicle we need to be out there. So he specifies a four-wheel drive, high-clearance vehicle. Well, I will show you the pictures of the vehicles, including his two vehicles, that get stuck going out there. So I don't know where, I mean, is he ignorant, arrogant, just naive, or I don't understand. There's no common sense to that whatsoever. So we're out there. I've been out there right now for 3 weeks. My wife has medical issues. She cannot get in and out. I've got to park my car 2 miles down the road in order to get out. So that means there's no medical assistance coming out there. We can't get this store to shop either for our own personal selves or our animals. So, I mean, animals are starving out there, and I'll speak for mine. So we have some big issues out there. And also, the statutes are clear. I don't know what their problem is out there, but in Title 38, 33.3, 216 easement rights, and the common elements for the purpose of access to their units. Doesn't happen in the wintertime.
Can you cite the statute again?
Yes, sir. 38-33.3, 216, And you might as well jot down,
Rob, statute of what? Where is that?
in the Colorado
State statute?
statute,
What you're
correct,
saying?
correct.
Just wanna make sure
Colorado
it's
revised
clear.
statutes, yeah.
Right, and also, let's see if I have the other one here. In 38-33.3, conveyance or encumbrance of the common elements. It specifically states in there, under number 6, a conveyance or encumbrance of common elements pursuant to this section shall not deprive any units of its rights of ingress and egress of the unit and support of that unit. Okay, I also have here the county subdivision, let me go back to the covenant here. The purpose of the assessments levied by the association shall be used exclusively to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the residents in the properties and for maintenance of the roadways within the subdivisions. Also, our articles of incorporation specifically states, including but not limited to managing the roadway easements. The subdivision, county regulations, states minimum, radius and, okay, so that's, well, I'm still gonna give it to you. I'll get to the point here. At least 2 means of access shall be provided so that all lots within the subdivision are ensured adequate access and egress in the event of fire. And I'm sure that the fire district also has some kind of protective plan that requires access and egress to get in there and save lives and so on. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now that we have the substation there, it's useless. Well, what's the purpose of having a substation at our beck and call, basically, and they don't have access? So we might as well we're left for dead out there. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And it says here, authorized access to the subdivision lots and sites is required by either public or private roads. So once again, you know, the associations are not doing their responsibility. I will speak only for the Centennial Ranch and Aspen Mountain Ranch Association. The other ones, I don't think they have that problem. I don't know. Not that I don't care. I mean, I do care because that's why I purchased that fire truck way in the beginning. So these are problems that we are having out there, and I really feel that the commissioners do have a responsibility to the citizens of Custer County whole, including the HOAs, whether you guys have jurisdiction over the HOA or not.
Okay. I guess the comment I would have, number one, is I think the county would be well within their purview to say to any HOA, if your roads are not constructed to the degree that it can support fire or ambulance, we just won't go out there. Now, I could see that happening pretty easy. The county accepted by the county to provide, or the fire department, sorry, not the county, but the fire department or the medical. I don't particularly want to delve into your frustration with the HOAs. So I'd like to address your frustrations with the county. Because I'm not going to say I don't care about your frustrations with the HOAs. It's none of my business. It's none of your business that I'm mad at my neighbor because his horse keeps tearing my fence down. So I think the county's purview is something we can have a conversation about. Go ahead, Commissioner Kenda.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here, Rob. I appreciate you bringing that up. And one of those statutes you cited did say public roads and private. Those are two separations. And from a county point of view, we have good roads and services to the 2 points of interest to your subdivision, period. It gives you adequate there. It's the responsibility of that homeowners association, which in turn is the responsibility of each citizen that comes into this county and buys a piece of ground to look at where they are and decide where they want to live, and then do the right thing. Now, how do you enforce the private side of that statute? I don't know where you go after the statute says the private guys will take care of it too. Who has to enforce that? This is a free country, free county. And so that has to be litigated through the courts the right way in order to get, if the homeowners association's not paying attention, then you're doing the right thing, bringing it to their notice, and it's up to you guys to vote that leadership out of office if that's the case, and fix it and work with the county and other people. So,
No, I understand what you're saying, I appreciate that. Once again, this is the Custer County homeowners packet. It talks about integrity here, about back in the day and so on. Well, to me, the integrity of the county has gone to hell, pardon the expression, because of what happened with the fire truck and this and that and everything else. The integrity of this county is shot. It also says in here, which I think maybe this thing should be looked at and maybe revised or whatever. It says here, many borough properties are served by private and public roads maintained by private homeowners associations. Well, that's a farce because they're not maintained, which we already know that. It also says road maintenance provided by the association. Once again, bogus information, and this is in the Custer County homeowners package. So maybe some different kind of wording should be put in there. It also tells you, this is before I moved out here, I looked at the statutes, I looked at the homeowners package, and so on. So I'm aware of what it says, and I come out here with the intention that, you know, we are going to be livable out here, not, you know, left for dead, pretty much. I mean, last year, it was almost 4 months before we could even get in and out. And some of those pictures will show you that. It also says that here, most subdivision roads are the responsibility of the landowners who use those roads. Review the protective covenants, which I did, and those covenants are in there also. It says here you have to, and this is the new Custer County package now, survive up to a week. Well, here we are going on 3 weeks. Last year was almost 4 months. So once again, this is bogus information that people rely on before they come out here and move here. And hopefully we do maintain that Old West ambient, which is why I came out here.
Go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Sir, I really feel your pain. And I'm going to say so that's probably not real popular, so take it what it's worth, okay? I don't feel that the BOCC has any right to interfere with a private HOA. I feel if the HOA as a group is not adhering to what needs to be done and what they've pledged to do and what you believe to be their responsibility, I feel that you as a citizen and any other citizen has a right to take action against the HOA management and either force them to do what they have promised to do or change management and get it done. As much as I'd like to say to you, the county has a responsibility to maintain the private roads in an HOA. Since I've been a commissioner several years now, this has come up multiple times, and consistently we have said, unfortunately, it is not a commissioner item. So I feel your pain, and I appreciate you bringing this concern to us, and I agree with you. I started by telling you my job I perceive as the health, safety, and welfare of the people of this county. And that includes everybody, including, I don't care where you live, that's my job. However, once a person signs up with an HOA and there are private roads, it comes out of our purview into the HOAs. That's my opinion, and I could be wrong.
But those are public easements, not private roads. They're public easements, even though the private association takes care of it.
I understand that, but it's the HOA that's responsible for maintaining that. And if they're not living up to what you believe they should be doing, what they've contracted to do, what you purchase, you pay your homeowners association dues to do, I think your avenue is against them. There's not a whole lot we can do other than say, we've had citizens complain that you're not adhering to your HOA. But even that, I don't feel confident or comfortable doing because it's outside the purview of what we do. I'm really sorry to say that, but I'm having problems with the concerns.
Right. So my point is, if that's the case, then nothing against the Kermaviti people here that come here with regards to their roads being county maintained. So you're saying you're not involved in the HOAs, but yet you might be having these particular roads in an HOA being serviced by the county and so on. So I don't understand. It doesn't make no sense to me how you can say one thing and on the other hand be a hypocrite and do something else for that association.
Okay, let me address that a little bit.
May I say something else real quick?
Yes, and then we're going to close this and move on because I see if there's other public comment.
And I know my rights and rules, and I have been to court, across the way here. But a judge came in from another county, Fremont County, and ruled against me, and never even heard the claims in my complaint, which covered the articles of incorporation. There was like 3 of those that they were violating. There were 9 covenants they were violating, about 9 bylaws they were violating, and numerous SOPs. So they turned that down. So I do, and I know my responsibility, and I try to do that. But if I can't even do that within the court system, I mean, where does that leave us? We're just left out there. I mean, we must just put out there a gun to our head and shoot us. That's where we're at.
Okay, I've got a final comment, actually 2 of them. I want to make sure everybody understands there's a difference between a public road and a county-maintained road. They are not necessarily the same thing. A public road, it's stated in the statutes, means anybody can drive on that road. It does not mean the county is a God-given right and responsibility to maintain that road.
Public right.
It has nothing to do with that. It's a public right-of-way. So I want to make sure we understand that. I want to take exception to one of your statements. You may have just, you may not have meant exactly what your words said, alluding to the fact that our county is derelict, and our county is not derelict in its citizenry and how this county and the people who live here conduct their daily lives. There may be some people that you do not agree with, sir, but I don't think it's fair for you to say the county. When you say the county, then we start thinking the leaders of the county commissioners or all the residents in the county. I don't think that was your intent necessarily.
I apologize.
That's okay. I just wanted to clarify that there may be individuals in this county that you take issues with. That does not mean everybody in the county or the county itself is irresponsible and ready to go down the drain. So, commissioners, if you have a closing comment, Chair would entertain that. If not, we'd like to move on. Go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
and we'll make it short. Rob, I commend you coming in here. If every homeowner in a subdivision had your passion, it seems like it'd be easy to get your group together and manage yourselves. That's the beauty of this country and this county. And you need to do that. And I understand you need help, and you've done a pretty good job of making it public, because the papers are here and we're here to listen. But we have no enforcement authority other than what we signed up to provide the road service to your subdivisions. We do have enforcement on health and safety, so if you screw up a sanitary thing, that gets handled, you know, from that point of view. But as far as ingress, egress, you know the issues, and get your people on board. I think somebody told me there was 1,000 landowners over there. Let's get 1,000 people together, and with that passion, you can fix those roads.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Prince?
I really don't have anything to add.
Okay.
I feel for you, and I'm sorry, but I don't feel we have a responsibility here.
Understand.
Certainly, you're welcome to come in and voice your concerns anytime you want. I just think it's incumbent upon us to try to make people understand what we're responsible for and what we're not.
And that's a good point on public comment. That's why we have it. That's great. Thanks for using it.
Other public comment? We good? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you. Thanks again, Rob. You're welcome anytime, sir. You might wear,
For now, you
you
are.
might wear your welcome out, but for now.
I'm good.
Thank you. Before we move on, I did want to make a note, Ms. Kara, if we can add Upper Arkansas water back on the agenda. Somehow it got deleted, and I see staff reports are on here too. So this was just a blend of an old, I think, a former,
Template she had.
yeah. So we probably need a template for an agenda for staff report days and then for non-staff report days. But Upper Ark did get dropped off of there. And I think we talked about that during our commissioner items, so I'm good with moving on. Unfinished business,
I have none, sir.
nor do I.
Is that the right title? We
It
had an
is.
issue on that before, too.
Unfinished business is the correct title, yes.
Okay.
So we'll move on to new business. We'll allow public comment. Again, I want to reiterate that public comment is always welcome. We may not always engage in a response or a conversation. Public comment really is for us to listen. It's up to the individual commissioners if they choose to respond or not. So, so our first item of business is consideration of signing the 2020 Custer County Annual Operating Plan. I would invite Ms. Meredith to the table.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Mary.
How are you?
Good.
Is it coming over the speaker now? Can you guys?
Oh, yeah, yeah. We can hear it back here, but if
You hear too much up there.
I think it's sort of a pretty good blend up here.
I like it.
That's why I was
Okay,
asking.
thank you. So gentlemen, I think you have before you at least a digital copy of the AOP. We have a hard copy here as well. Turn
To look like.
the floor over to
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Meredith.
So AOP, the annual operating plan, is our agreement for 2020 between DFPC, Division of Fire Prevention and Control, and U.S. Forest Service, and how we will all interact together in the season for 2020. We do it every year.
So I'm gonna say it's an annual thing.
Annual thing. The only thing that changed in this plan versus last year's was something for the U.S. Forest Service, but didn't really affect us at all. So.
I attended that presentation, and I concur with what you said. It was just an extension after it expired to renew it. There weren't really multiple changes, and I think...
I guess the other changes were contact information. The comm center switched to free comm instead of our Custer County comm center.
Okay. What's the group's pleasure?
I move that we approve the 2020 annual operating agreement as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 2020 Custer County Annual Operating Plan. Further discussion? Appreciate your efforts here, Ms. Meredith, to
Well, one
make those
question.
changes. Go ahead, sir.
So it's called a Custer County AOP. That's kind of a misnomer to me, because is it a Custer County Emergency Operating Plan? Or
This-
is it a Custer County roads and bridges, you know, what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the title is within the DFPC
Right.
and the U.S. Forest Service, not within
Right, it's,
our naming, I guess. But yeah, so it's just for our interaction with those.
I mean,
those
that needs to be
entities.
clear.
Yeah. It's really not our document. I mean,
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
to represent DFPC. I would,
We had Shannon sign it.
yeah, I was just going to say, I would make note that Sheriff Biley has already signed this document as well. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Public comment?
Can you tell me what DFPC is?
Division of Fire Prevention and Control.
Headed up by one Joe Lobiano.
That makes sense then with annual operating plan under that.
Hearing no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the AOP, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. We will sign these two docs.
It was all, Joe does a really great job in operating all of that. Yeah, it was really good. I can't stop swinging in the chair now.
I know.
My feet don't reach the ground, or I
You
would.
need a pillow back there, don't you?
Somebody's gotta hit the electric button on
Yeah.
that. You're in charge.
Careful.
Tom to make us some new chairs.
Well,
Yeah. Well, he put some wheels on this guy,
I think the guy that made them is in the room.
did that yesterday. Yeah, the guy that actually put all the other, and thank you, by the
Thank
way.
you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am. Appreciate it. I'll get back to that in just a second.
Everything.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for all your work. Appreciate it.
Sarah?
Thanks, Meredith.
Sarah?
Yeah, Mr. Scheid came in yesterday, and we had a regular chair sitting there. Actually, it was that chair with 4 legs on it. I said, yeah, I'm
He
thinking
mobilized
about-
it?
I'm thinking about cutting the legs off of that and putting it on wheels, and he said, well, I did it to all these other chairs, so. What year was that, Mr. Scheid? Any idea when you did these chairs?
I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I never even thought about that. But did they have legs on them, or was it that single post
Yeah,
out of the?
They were
yeah.
jury chairs, they were
Right.
in the jury box,
Yeah.
and they were all on a beam, they were
Right.
set on the same
So
beam.
they were just sitting.
Yeah, they had rockers and stuff that you couldn't roll around on.
Well, my old buddy Steve Peterman come in yesterday, and I snagged him. We hauled this out to my shop, cut the legs off of it, and put that deal under it yesterday.
I wish we could have found some wooden ones, that would have been.
Yeah.
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 I just used the ones off the old ones.
All right, very good. Next item of business, consideration of the liquor license for the lodge at San Isabel. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Yes, so this is the, their 3-2 license for the Lodge at St. Isabel. It's their renewal. And all their paperwork is here. They've got their check, to the state for $117.50 and to the county for $15. And
It's making money already.
yeah.
What's the group's pleasure?
I move that we renew the San Isabel Lodge liquor license for 3.2 year.
Year 2020?
It's a year
For an
2020.
annual. It's an
It's
annual.
annual.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the liquor license for Lodge at San Isabel. Discussion?
They did meet, the sheriff did all the stuff. You did all your homework. I know you did. Okay, good job.
Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the liquor license for the Lodge at San Isabel, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I don't know why those two checks can't be reversed.
I know.
Just the one signature.
Yeah,
Kelly?
just that one.
There you go, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Next item on the business, on the agenda is the transfer of funds from attainable housing to the general fund. I believe the amount was $34,000.
That is for-
34,280.52.
Thank you.
And that's for the purchase of the houses.
That is correct. We had that, that money was in the attainable housing account. I guess Mr. Vogel left. He's the chairman of that board. Yeah, $34,280.52. We needed to transfer that from.
I move we
general
transfer the
from attainable
funds
housing.
transfer of funds from attainable housing to the general fund in the amount of $34,280.52.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to transfer money from attainable housing to the general fund to cover the purchase of the property from Colorado College.
And we have to make that effective December 31st.
Okay.
You might wanna put that in motion.
And we'll make it effective December 31st.
Second, all right, with the friendly
Second,
amendment?
yes.
Thank you. Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the transfer of $34,280.52 from it should be attainable housing, actually.
It should be.
But it may be listed
But they
as
still
affordable.
have
Okay.
affordable
All
housing
right.
in there until Susie said it has to say
Okay,
affordable.
from affordable housing to the county general fund, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. We don't need to sign that, do we? Okay, thank you.
I don't know if maybe you could talk to her about changing that.
Okay,
Attainable.
yeah, I'll make a note of that.
Who's the her?
Susie. Just change the
We need to change the word, the title of it. I'm gonna check something, I'll beg your patience here, gentlemen, real quick. Just make sure.
Making sure they have that much in there.
Pardon?
You making sure they have that much in there?
No, I'm making sure that their bylaws refer to it as the Attainable Housing Board, and they do.
They do.
So I will have that conversation with her. I can unofficially answer your question, though, Commissioner Prince. They had $40,000 and some dollars in that account. All right, next item of business, approving the handwritten checks. Let me pull that document. I believe you gentlemen also have a copy.
They do. So, just point of order if I may,
Yes,
sir.
go ahead, sir.
Maybe I just don't remember, but do we normally approve the handwritten checks after the fact? I don't remember doing that.
Yes, we
We did it.
We
once.
did discuss this at a board meeting, and I'll just give you a quick background on that. For the last year and a half, generally speaking, I've been signing those handwritten checks, and then we never got a report back as a board of what
Right.
checks were written and how much they were, so we instructed Donna Hobby to give us a accounting of those, and we knew it was going to be after the fact, so we'll try to remember this is actually a ratification of signing.
Maybe that's the way it ought to be
of these.
stated.
Yeah. Yeah, so from now on, when that comes up, I'll try to make sure we get it on the agenda as a ratification of signing the handwritten checks.
Right.
And I'd like to address that way today. So in that vein, I would move that we ratify the signing of the handwritten checks from December 1st through December 31st in the amount of $52,548.54.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to ratify signing the handwritten checks. Discussion.
Yeah, maybe I'm just having a brain fog, but why would we, the county, be writing a check for that house that's purchased in Silver Cliff?
I guess I'm not following you, sir.
Okay, never mind, I'm with you. Okay, I understand, never mind, I was a brain fog.
Oh, okay. I was looking under the vendor name. You're talking about the description?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just what we did, that $34,280.
That's fine, I'm there.
That was,
That's fine.
that check was written December the 8th.
Got it.
Can you give me the amount of the handwritten?
Yes, ma'am, $52,548.54.
Thank you.
Copy of
No, I have a copy.
Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
that? Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have ratified the action of signing those hand-signed checks.
And if we didn't ratify it, would we go get our money back somehow?
I guess you could try. It'd be a great,
This is just getting it on the record.
be a great attorney activity.
That, but
It's
I'm
okay.
real curious to
Try
know
to
what would
track
happen if
down
we
that.
said no.
That's right.
Yeah,
Rob may want it.
that'd be a good attorney activity. wouldn't
It's
it?
been a long agenda, I'm
Try
not
to-
gonna go into minutia,
Try
but
to
it just,
chase that down.
just curious.
Yep. Next item of business, consideration of accepting the roads for maintenance by the county. I will move that we postpone that.
I ask you.
I want to say until January 31st, but I really believe I want to move to postpone that until we get those records from Gary Hyde.
Yeah, we don't have anything to act on.
No, I'm just saying,
That's right.
I don't want to
I'm
postpone it
agreeing
until the
with
31st. I'd like to
No.
postpone it until we get the records, whatever that.
Once that happens, it'll show up on the
Then
agenda.
it'll be on the agenda, correct. Because this is the second time we've postponed it.
Is that other roads then converted?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
all,
It's a document of all the roads that are certified, been accepted by the county. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to postpone the item of accepting the roads for maintenance by the county until we get such list of roads. Discussion. Public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That item of business has been postponed. Next item, consider the resolution 20-02 regarding the Cuerna Verde roads.
I move that we adopt Custer County Resolution 20-02 as presented.
I'll second it, but I can't find it.
Been moved and seconded to
Oh, here it
adopt
is. Here it
resolution 20-02, the, sorry, let me grab mine out from under there. Accepting certain roads in the Cuerna Verde subdivision for repair and maintenance by the County Road and Bridge Department. Discussion.
I have I'm sorry, I have the wrong date on there. I had the 14th, so if you do approve it, the date will need to be changed.
Okay, on the signature page.
Yes.
That resolution.
Can we do that right now? So the signature page, page 2 of that document, Ms. Kara. And then, gentlemen, I want to call to your attention, is that it, sir? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all I
Okay.
have.
I want to call your attention to page 3 of that document, which is a listing of the roads themselves. You will notice, I believe it's on your copies, yes, that I asked Ms. Kara to add on Paiute Road, about just a little over halfway down that list,
East.
east of Comanche Road, Paiute Road bisects Comanche Road. There's 0.7 miles, 7/10 of a mile to the west of Paiute, that is not included in this document. We do not maintain that road, so we wanted a point of clarification there, that it is just the eastern, or the road east of Comanche Road, which is .71 miles as well.
Yeah, I know that was an issue because people on the east side were wondering why they weren't plowed.
The east side is being
Or the
plowed, the
west
west
side.
side. There's one house up
Yeah.
there. And that is not included in this document. Further discussion? Public comment?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Is there grants available for doing roads on an HOA, out of curiosity?
Not that I'm aware of, but I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
There may be, it depends on how you count it, I know. Something to look into.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. I want to ask Mr. Dugan a question, if you don't mind, sir. I know we had talked at one point about some roads in Cuerno Verde and the possibility of your HOA considering bringing some of those up to county specs. I'm not going to quote anyone, I just want to say that I thought I remembered that for a certain amount of miles of road that you guys were interested in, you thought it was going to be around $50,000 to bring those up. Is that correct?
Gary provided that,
Okay.
that quote.
Okay.
And yeah, well, and thank you guys for doing this, because this gives us the baseline. This establishes in writing what you guys, what the county is maintaining, and then we can go back to our owners,
Right.
the ones that aren't being maintained, which is like 4 or 5 miles worth of roads. Now we can start working with those owners to figure out how to resolve those. And
Yep.
if we can bring them up to a standard, and if you guys and Gary will accept them, but this is a great baseline.
Right.
It gives us,
He gave you
Good.
an estimate of that for the remaining 4 miles? Is that what
he
did?
said it back in, I think, early December or the November meeting, that he thought it would be about 50,000. I mean, and that's something that we can work with him and,
Sure.
you know, on the future stuff.
Thank
It's
you.
just a wag, I mean.
Yeah. All right, thank you, sir, for that clarification. I appreciate that. The other thing, Mr. Klein, I would maybe just offer up as a friendly suggestion, I would think that the Board of County Commissioners would entertain this same concept and process for every HOA in the county if we do not have those. We've looked, there doesn't seem to be a permanent record of these roads, and that's why Mr. Dugan asked us to move on this. I don't know why any other HOA wouldn't do the same thing, so they have a baseline to say, this is, whether you like it or not, this is how it stands today.
They have an association that cares and can read the document, so big difference.
So you can take this after it's signed, use it to show them what they've done and see how many miles they've already upgraded.
Well,
It's a-
different
it's a great job.
subdivision.
I know,
Or
I'm
HOA,
just saying it's a
sorry.
process.
Yeah,
So Get
exactly.
your HOA understanding the
Right.
process and they can write something up and come on in.
Give it a few miles each year, whatever, I agree.
Yeah. Further discussion, gentlemen? Public comment? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm curious, the statements on those original plats dedicated those roads to public use. But then the rest of the statement in the Cuerno Verde plat said that at such time as, and it names a corporation that owned it at the time, brings them up to county standard to the satisfaction of the county road
Road and
commission,
bridge,
which
right.
isn't a function anymore. But
Yeah.
did that obligation pass on to subsequent interests, like the HOA, that they were responsible for bringing them on?
That's why we're here.
That's the discussion.
That's just the question. I wondered, legally, did that obligation pass on?
Yeah.
It does?
Well, we looked at those early plats and tried to decipher some of that language on there. Legally, I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
wondering how that passed.
And I don't know either.
It's been a long time.
From your point of view, it doesn't really matter who's responsible for doing it. Once it gets done and it satisfies the road boss, that's all that we care
Yeah,
about.
that might be an internal HOA legal matter,
Well, I
but,
mean, since it cited a specific corporation having that responsibility, I was just curious if
Right.
that passed on.
The problem with that is that corporation that developed it went bankrupt.
That's
Right.
what I
Then
was
went into
saying.
receivership, then it
Right. But
just
their
kept
obligations
going.
went to someone. I was just curious how that happened.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't remember looking at those documents if we had that legal entity
Yeah, we couldn't decide.
was updated or not. We never could decipher that, so.
Would it really matter, even though, as long as they brought them up to county specs, would it even matter?
To council's point, no. I don't think we believe it matters,
Right.
but the HOA may
Might.
want to say, this was so-and-so's responsibility to do this.
Right.
In this case, they no longer exist, really,
I
but,
was just curious if
yeah,
there was any documentation.
I have no idea. We have not seen any in our research, not that we were specifically looking for that, but while we were looking, well, we kind of were looking to see where that trail
Yeah, we
went.
looked at the resolutions and
So by dedication, the county owns the right of way, am I right? They're dedicated to public use and you
Yes.
receive them on the public's behalf when you sign the plat.
Right, they're accepted. I mean, they can't take it back once it's been dedicated and accepted as a right-of-way.
Right.
Accepted as a right-of-way, not necessarily as a county-maintained road.
Right.
Further discussion, gentlemen?
Yeah, in fact, we have abandoned some roads, not the right of ways.
Roads are on that list.
27.
27, thank you, I had not counted.
18.69 miles or whatever.
18.91.
18.9.
Further discussion, gentlemen? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on adopting Resolution 20-02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let the record show, excuse me, Resolution 20-02, accepting certain roads in the Cuerno Verde subdivision for repair and maintenance by the County Road and Bridge Department, has been approved.
Kid, are you here for the next one? Because that got moved all the way to the end.
Well, yeah, and that, we just did that this morning. I didn't realize you were coming in. I'd have called you.
Maybe you need to put some
We can-
waters on it.
Yeah, we can have some conversation about that. Commissioner Prince, would you like to sign that document,
No
sir?
problem.
Put it
What time would you
Um,
expect that?
Let me look here and see.
Shouldn't take too long.
I would guess we're probably looking at another half hour, 45
Oh,
minch.
that's no big deal. Thank you very
Okay.
much. I appreciate it.
Would you like to sign that, sir? And the reason we did that, and I apologize, and maybe we better be a little more careful about that, moving stuff around on the agenda, was we knew the reading of that was going to take some time, and so we thought it'd be better to do it at the end of the agenda instead of in the middle.
Just need to remember to notify people, I guess.
That's real fair. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next item is consideration of Resolution 20-03 concerning the forced reintroduction of the wolf in the state of Colorado. Gentlemen, I think you have some documentation about that. I had written this resolution based on some language from some neighboring counties, gave that to the attorney, our attorney, to review. I believe he responded with a couple of minor changes, as I remember, sir. You're welcome to comment if you'd like. And I would move that we adopt Resolution 20-03 concerning the forced reintroduction, opposing the forced reintroduction of the wolf in the state of Colorado.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 20-03. Discussion, gentlemen. And if I may interrupt real quick, I'd like to just welcome Miss Arley this morning.
And happy.
Hello, Mrs. Riggs, happy birthday. Oh, yeah, sorry, Sharon, wrong person, wrong person.
You got a
You
birthday.
don't know when she already
Oh,
is.
that's right.
A
Yeah.
belated happy
Mary's birthday. I'm sorry for my mistake.
I know, see,
I
that's where I was
apologize.
headed. I just thought, I was ready to kind of take a little recess. Nice to have you here this morning.
Did she bring some cake?
No, they didn't bring anything. The only thing they brought was a bad attitude. I can see that on both their faces right now. Welcome. So, there are, I can't quote you the exact number because it's been changing, but there are a number of counties that have introduced resolutions at the county level opposing the forced reintroduction of the wolf in Colorado. I've been doing some research, spoken with a couple of individuals about this. Interestingly enough, it was reported on stopthewolf.org's website that they had a confirmed presence of at least a wolf, they thought maybe more than that, on an elk kill in northwestern Colorado last week. They did not see the wolves, but they brought in Parks and Wildlife personnel, and they did identify those as wolf tracks and not coyote or dogs. So there's been certainly a general push to convince the residents of Custer County that we don't have or in Colorado that we don't have wolves in Colorado. I do not believe that, and now there's a effort afoot to place an initiative on the ballot that would allow for the forced reintroduction of wolves in the state of Colorado. And certainly as a commissioner of a rural county, I significantly oppose this.
Let me make a comment.
Go ahead, sir.
I agree with that, and I just want to make it clear to the public, because you haven't heard the resolution. The gray wolf reintroduction in the northern Rocky Mountains have exceeded recovery goals, so the wolf is safe. And I appreciate that, I really do. And not only that, this has not been the historic range for the wolf in the first place. So it just happens that it was introduced and they were here for a while. So they're a neat thing. If you've gone out to Wolf Springs or to Mission Wolf, great program, and it's really neat to see how they do, and you really do understand the value of the life cycle where animals eat, the food chain, and they do a good job of that. And so I think that's a good program, but I happen to agree we do have an issue. It's an agriculture county, and it is a concern.
Thank you, sir. And to your point, Commissioner Candy, if I beg your indulgence, I would like to at least read the resolution points of this. I won't go through all the whereas statements, but I think when we get down to the resolution, it gets to the crux of the matter, which is really what we're saying. We justify in the whereas, and this is what we're saying. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners, Custer County of Custer, State of Colorado, opposes any efforts to introduce or expand the population of wolves, I'm sorry, that's a typo, into Colorado. And number 2, supports recommendations of the Colorado Wolf Working Group, which were adopted by the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission in 2005. And number 3, supports the position taken by the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission in its resolution 16-01. And number 4, supports the delisting of all, that's another typo, I apologize, gentlemen, if you'd make a note of that, of all wolf species under the Endangered Species Act to allow the management of wolves at both the local and state levels. And number 5, request that any federal or state wolf management plans include funding to offset the negative impact of wolves on livestock, wildlife management, hunting, and other adversely affected sectors of the local economies. And finally, number 6, supports efforts to include a requirement that any publicly funded or sponsored wolf education programs include comprehensive and balanced discussions about the impact of wolves on local economies and include the perspectives of livestock producers, hunters, and public health officials. So from my perspective, that's really the nuts and bolts of the resolution. That's what we're saying we believe if this resolution passes. Commissioner Prince, comment?
First of all, on the signature block, please change me from member to commissioner.
Okay.
But that's not important.
That is.
I will do that as we speak.
Thank you. Number 4 is the only one. First of all, I support this. I recognize wolves are a danger to our ranchers, that they eat livestock, and introducing more hazard to our farmers is not something we should be supporting. So I'm in favor of it. Number 4 is the only one that I have a little angst over, because I did a lot of research. When I first saw that we were going to talk about reintroducing wolves, I'm going, what is this all about? Why are we doing it? And I went to multiple websites and I learned about what reintroducing the wolves means and what it means to the farmers, and I said, this is not really a very good idea, in my personal opinion. Number 4, where it says supports the delisting of all wolf species under the Endangered Species Act to allow the maintenance of wolves at both the local and state levels. I had a little concern about that because I don't know, and I couldn't find any information whether it really is appropriate for every kind of species of wolf to not be on the endangered species list. Now, there's a lot of question whether we ought to have an endangered species list anyway. I mean, if something goes extinct, it goes extinct, so we move on down the road. But if we can save them, we ought to, and there is an Endangered Species Act that the federal government maintains. Should we, the county, advocate that the federal government should not put any wolves on an endangered species list at any time? And that's the way I read that. So that's the only thing that gave me a little bit of angst. Other than that, I support this completely.
Points well taken, sir. From the research that I was able to do, the organizations, obviously, that were opposed to the reintroduction of the wolf in Colorado also supported heavily that we delist that from the Endangered Species Act. Personally, I don't believe wolves are an endangered species at this point. I don't believe they should be on that list.
I got one comment. In addition to the typos you pointed out as you read those 6 paragraphs, the now therefore clause, I had corrected all this, but apparently didn't get through on
sorry.
this because where it said it should be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners.
Not be is resolved.
Yeah, but and be it resolved that, not by, but at, or that rather, excuse me, that the Board of County Commissioners opposes, supports. It needs to have the word that.
It is. I have included that. Thank you, sir.
All right.
And you're correct. You sent me those. I failed to get that to Miss Kara, so
He's a
that
bad typist.
was on me.
Let's blame her. She's too nice.
Yeah, she's a lot nicer. She
It
can
was actually his hand. that
she can stand some blaming around here. So far, I don't know. I'm not aware of any time she's been blamed for anything. So maybe we should start.
It's about time.
Miss Kara, I'm going to send that revised document to you if you don't mind, and if you could reprint that real quick before we sign that. Let me just double check, gentlemen, make sure we're right. And then there was an insertion. I wanted to ask you too, sometimes my grammatical expertise lacks. On number 1, I'll read it again and ask you gentlemen to listen to see if it's appropriate. Opposes any efforts to introduce or expand the population of wolves, not populations.
That's correct.
Wolves is plural, so population would be singular.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you. And then the other
Number
correction
4.
was number 4.
Right.
Supports the delisting of all wolf species. Is that how you would read that, gentlemen?
That's
Yes.
Okay. Let me,
Do we
go ahead, comment.
Do we really want to support the delisting of all wolf species under the Endangered Species Act? I mean, is that within the purview of what we do? I mean, I agree that we want to protect our farmers, our hunters, our ranchers, and all those folks, and I'm 100% on board with that. It bothers me a little bit that the Custer County Commissioners are saying, I don't want any wolves on the endangered species list. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a green spotted wolf somewhere, and I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
I certainly would not claim to know all of it myself. My point, I guess, my counterpoint would be, where in the world is this federal, I didn't mean this, where in the world is the federal government going to get any direction about the citizens of this country and what they want to do if it doesn't start at the grassroots level?
I concur completely. That's
Maybe
why-
I'm not educated enough to really
No,
speak to that, but.
And that's why I'm agreeing with this resolution.
Right.
That's where it needs to be. We're protecting our people. Now, it needs to go, the question is, somewhere else in the United States, there may be a wolf that really ought to be in danger and not be trapped and hunted. I'm just thinking about the future of our animal kingdom. It's not a big deal. I'll approve it the way
Yeah.
it sits. It just bothers me that that's in there because I don't feel it's appropriate in this particular resolution.
Okay.
There are 3 wolf species according to the internet.
Mexican.
Gray wolf or timber wolf,
Right.
red wolves, which I don't think we have around here, and I'm trying to find the
Well, I think the
Mexican.
third
The
one is
Mexican
the
one.
ones that hang out in bars.
Commissioner Prince,
So-
that's enough.
Yes, sir.
Let me take a stab.
I believe
at
it is the Mexican wolf, the red wolf.
It says gray wolves, timber wolves, and red wolves, but Mexican wolf may be
Red wolf, I know.
another name for something.
Well, and the Mexican wolf may not, you're talking about the species, not the ones that are listed, is that correct?
Right, the species there, these are the 3 that they're listing here.
I will say, I made my
Yeah.
comment, I'm ready to vote,
Understood.
and I will vote in favor.
Understood. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, all I
Candace.
would like to, and I get comfortable, I understand what you're saying, Jay. If all the species were on the endangered list, somehow they gotta come off if they're being repopulated and they're no longer endangered, and that's what happens all the time. So I would read it as I would support removing them from that list if they've been repopulated and deemed that way. I mean, you could even wordsmith this if you wanted to do that, but I don't think we have to worry about it.
The all is what's getting me, supports
Right.
all, the listing of all the wolves.
That are on the
Of- I
endangered
mean,
species list.
right.
Yeah.
If appropriate.
That's okay.
And it would,
I don't mean to make an issue out of
right,
this.
no, that's why we have discussion. And I think, you have a valid point, and I concede, I certainly am not an expert enough to testify about whether we should or shouldn't. It does not say all, well, it says all wolf species, so
Yeah.
that's 3 species.
Under the Endangered Species Act.
Right.
If they're endangered, they're gonna leave them on it, unless they're repopulated, so.
But I think we have the right to ask the federal government to
Sure.
take them off the
Take 'em
list.
off if they're not
we
any
don't have
longer
that right,
endangered.
then who does? We may or may not be in consensus on that opinion, right? But I just asked about the process.
It's not important.
I'm happy.
And one
That's
more
a good
thing,
point.
just to enlighten you, the gray wolf is also known as timber wolf, common wolf, tundra wolf, Mexican wolf,
Okay.
and
Great.
plains wolf, so, but that all comes under the gray wolf.
Yeah, and the language that I've come across and why it's in here was that in Colorado, it appears that the emphasis has been on the Mexican wolf and the gray wolf.
Which
So
is,
they're one and the
here's
same.
one and the same.
So maybe,
I suppose they're slightly, but that's how they're listed as species.
Right. Further discussion, gentlemen? Thank you. Public comment? Yes, sir.
Yes, and I think you guys are taking the right position here. I lived in Montana in the 1980s when they reintroduced these wolves into Montana, into the Yellowstone Basin.
I read
They
about that.
decimated the elk herd
I
in
read
the
about
Yellowstone Basin. If you talk to any rancher or farmer who lives in Montana or Wyoming that lives around the Yellowstone Basins that has to deal with these animals, they will tell you that they are a predator. Despite the myth and the propaganda out there, these things are sports killers. They will go in and kill animals, just if they train their young to do it, is how they do it. It's a great book written out there by Frank Glassner. It's called The Alaskan Wolfman, and I really recommend you guys read this. He was the foremost expert in Alaska back in the 40s, 50s, and early 60s. He was a trapper, he was a hunter, and then he became a game warden up there, and he helped regulate and monitor the wolves in Alaska. Read that book. He will educate you on what these animals really do. We don't want them in this state
Thank you.
because they're going to decimate our sportsmen and our wildlife, and they will decimate the livestock.
Thank you, sir.
I'm
Appreciate your
passionate about
comments.
this, sorry.
That's okay.
can
No,
tell.
I lived in a state where this
can
happened.
And I'll bet Rob's not as passionate.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Mr. Klein, go ahead, sir.
Right, but on the same note, even though we don't want them down here, if they revamp these guys up there in the northern Rockies, they're not gonna work their way down here. I mean, what do we do then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Well-
the first comment. The second one is, let's talk about Mission Wolf. I have nothing against Mission Wolf, but are they regulated as far as any escapees or anything up there, as far as the wolves go, or anything like that? Who accounts for those wolves that, could any of those wolves be escaped and running amok and so on out here?
Yeah, my understanding is they're self-regulated.
Okay.
Did we lose our microphone?
I
Okay.
think he turned it down,
Okay, that's
which
fine.
is not a bad.
Yes, ma'am. And then we'll-
I'm just speaking from a public health standpoint. There is a case in Idaho that a woman contracted a disease from a wolf, particularly, I believe it was a gray wolf, that lays an egg that has a disease in it and stays, doesn't lay an egg, I'm sorry. It comes out of their
Not wolf.
feces. They produce an egg in their
There you
feces.
go.
And this disease has only been recognized in Canada. And these wolves, I understand, initially came from Canada. Is that right, Mr. Montana?
I'm sorry?
The wolves that were in Montana came from Canada.
They were, I believe, Alaska and Canada. I think a lot of them were captured in
Right.
British Columbia
Right.
and in Alberta and brought back into the.
This particular disease has never been seen in the United States, or very, very rarely in the United States. She lost half her liver over it. It's very ugly. Not only can it be contracted by humans, that egg and that worm that they have, the disease, will stay in their feces for a year. It stays alive for a year. So how we contract it, or any other animal would contract it, is to either step on the feces, have their four-wheeler go through the feces. We have hikers. This particular woman was a hiker and an avid four-wheeler, and she got it through the air.
Or a dog could eat it.
Or the dog could eat it, the dog could go roll in it, and then bring it home, and you love all foo-foo, and pat him on the neck and let him kiss you in the mouth, and then you've got it. So, I just wanted
Echinococcus.
to let you know. Oh, you want to name it?
Echinococcus granulosus.
Yes, thank you.
You can pronounce it.
I don't want to name it, that is the name of it.
So, rarely seen in the United States, and thank you to the wolves that came from Canada. We have a case that a woman lost half her liver. So, it not only is endangering the animals, but it also has potential for the human.
If you were a conspiracy theorist like Clint is, you would say the vegetarians are out to get us by getting all the cattle killed down here, by introducing them.
Yeah, but vegetarians are known to eat wolf feces now and then.
Roadkill. Okay. Call the question.
Further public comment? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry,
just-
go ahead.
Just one comment. I'm more concerned about process here than anything. The Division of Wildlife was organized and funded and educated to manage wild species. And I think what's happened, and case in point is the spring bear hunt, that every time that you choose to put their management onto the ballot, it ends in a pretty dismal failure. I don't think that management of species needs to be done by the public through the ballot process. And I think that's what this indicates, is that that's a distinct possibility. And the Wildlife Division has come out against it.
Right.
And they are the ones that we have to give management to. I think not following their lead is a big mistake. And it's not just people, it's the species themselves. The bears suffered over that
Yeah.
lack of a spring bear hunt because we had 3 dry years after that, and many mothers and cubs died in the dens during the winter because they weren't prepared for the winter. So I think that the process is what bothers me the most, is that we're going to put the management process into the public sector rather than leave it with the management, the people. We're going to suffer.
Should not be a ballot issue.
That's right.
I agree.
Thank you, sir. Two quick things, if you don't mind. I looked for the figure, I'm going to take time to dig it up. I think that this initiative only required like 250,000 signatures statewide to get this initiative on the ballot, which to me is criminal in itself. But they have gained enough signatures to put that on the ballot, so we anticipate that being on the ballot. I couldn't agree with Chief Shy any more than to say it really, we shouldn't be managing our wolves through the voting process of Colorado. I want to quickly just read down through the counties that have opposed this forced reintroduction in the state of Colorado: Alamosa, Archuleta, Cheyenne County, Crowley, Douglas, Fremont, Garfield, Hinsdale, Jackson, Kit Carson, Lincoln County, Mesa, Moffett, Montezuma, Montrose, Otero, Rio Blanco, Rio Grande, Routt County, and Weld. If you don't know where Lincoln County is, it is way out that way. You know, I've had people say, well, wait a minute, you're not really even in the mountains. And I thought, you have no idea what you're talking about if you say that to me. But I've had also people say, well, why would counties on the Eastern Plains oppose this? These aren't necessarily mountain-dwelling animals. They'll dwell wherever they want. So I applaud those counties for doing that as well. But I didn't count those, but I thought I'd read them to you real quick.
Yeah, let me reinforce one thing Kit did say, so everybody understands. He made a point and said bear. I remember back when the citizens of Colorado voted to save the bear because they were worried. And if you picture Smokey Bear, he's got a hat on. He's a pretty little, neat little guy. And let's save the bears. And what happened? Bears broke into camps. All they found left were heads in helmets and feet in shoes. And they became an unintended consequence of an action that had a good intent. Let's try to keep the bears doing their thing. Same thing here. We got to be careful when you reintroduce something like that of the unintended consequences.
It's a great point, and we have not dwelt, other than Mrs. Flowers' comments, on the public health aspect. Certainly, young children in a wolf-infested remote area would be at severe risk. I just want to share a quick anecdote, and then I'll move on to Ms. Sharon. I called an acquaintance of mine and asked if I could have permission to hunt on their ranch near Walden for archery moose hunting. And the father and the daughter said, absolutely no problem. We have one requirement, and I said, what is that? If we find out that you had an opportunity to shoot a wolf on our ranch and did not, we will escort you off of the ranch. They had just lost a highly anticipated registered foal to wolf predation. I wanted to hunt there in the fall, of course, and it happened in June or July. They were very adamant. I wasn't even going to bring up the idea, what are you talking about? There's not supposed to be any wolves in Colorado with those folks, because they were paying the price. Yes, ma'am.
I want to make two comments. One was on what Bill talked about on the spring bear hunt. The one thing that I feel the worst thing about that is because it became a part of the Colorado Constitution.
Yeah, really.
And, so then.
They legislated that. That was a terrible thing.
And it became part of the Constitution. So how do you get rid of it then without going back to a vote?
Well, the same people in the cities that don't understand what a bear is.
That's true.
That's the crux
And
of it
then
right there.
Yeah.
another comment I wanted to make is, I think it was about 15 years ago when they decided to bring the lynx into Colorado. And that was a terrible thing. They never asked, if you even asked if we can do this, that would be different, but they never asked whatsoever if they could bring those in. They put a bunch of them over in the South Fork area, and I'm sure there was some in the northern mountains too. But what the tragic thing about that was, when they brought them in and there was logging in it, and if you were in a logging project in the middle of it, you were kicked out.
Right.
Yeah.
They eliminated all logging, all hunting, all activities whatsoever in that area, and it really did, it was a big impact on that particular industry.
Yeah, it's a good point, Ms. Berry. Thank you. If you lived here then, I'm going to guess, Kid, I would look to you. You probably know more accurately than I did. I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, there was a fatality down in the Cotopaxi area of a bear, not a wolf, but guess what? You know, what we're talking about the bear, we sure as heck could be talking about the wolf if we do not take a stance. A wolf, as I understood it, broke into a guy's camper on the back of his pickup, and the guy shot the bear. The bear took off, came back, killed and consumed all but just a few parts of that. I think he was a hunter, actually. Might have just been a camper. But, you know, for us to just sit by and not do anything, I mean, we should have been probably way more proactive on the whole bear thing, because again, to Kit's point, here we're legislating stuff that we've got a commission in this state to make these decisions. So I didn't want to necessarily get off onto the bear thing, but I think it was a precursor to where we're at. Mrs. Flower, go ahead.
Well, from what I understand, they want to transplant 250 wolves on the western slope.
Correct.
It does not take long for a wolf to travel. There's online, there's a map that they had tagged one wolf, and it made its way all the way from Montana all the way to Colorado in a short amount of time. And then he lost his tag. You don't know what happened to his tag or him. But
Probably predated on the wolf I was talking about, but we don't know that, do we? Yeah.
for them to get here.
Yeah. I want to just share this. StopTheWolf.org is the website that's, I think, been referred to here this morning. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to go to that. I know Commissioner Prince is wearing thin on his patience. He probably has to go to the bathroom as bad as I do.
15 minutes.
Not a bad
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Till 5, and I'm still waiting.
Further comment? Thank you folks for coming in as well. Mr. Dan, Mr. Pam, appreciate that. Further public comment?
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, yes.
I have a comment about following up on what Cindy said. They don't get to the Wyoming border and go, oh, wait,
Can't go to Colorado, right?
yeah, we're not allowed there.
Put a sign
Right,
up.
yeah.
They have litters and litters and litters.
Yeah,
There are
there's,
laws against littering.
yeah. That's,
He'll be here all morning.
that's why we pay him the big money.
There are laws.
Further public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of adopting Resolution 20-03, opposing the, pardon?
As amended.
As amended, opposing the.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As opposing the reintroduction of the wolf into the state of Colorado, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Yes, as amended. I did send those amendments to Ms. Kara, and she provided the correct copy to us, so we will sign that. And then I will also forward that on by a request to the director of Stop the Wolf.
My chair out of the way now.
Yeah, you're gonna get run over here in a
Stop-
minute. However,
Stop the
Hold
prince.
on there.
before we do that, we've got one other quick item of business to take care of, so,
Okay, that's right.
yeah.
Hi,
Would you
Ms.
sign,
Drew.
please?
Got my,
You're brave to sign that on your computer. I would do it all kinds of.
supposed to put 2020, not just 20.
Right when you started to do that, I thought, oops. And so, just real quickly, by a show of hands, are we in 2020 or are we in 2020? What's your opinion? 2020 or 2020?
We're in both.
You know,
I think we're in both.
We're bipolar.
Yeah, I'm bipolar. I personally believe we're in 2020, but we were good with 1992, weren't we? So,
I don't think they said 1901. They said
my granddad did. But he was a dryland wheat farmer in Colorado. What did he know? Could you, yes, ma'am, sorry. Could you attest that, please, and then give it to Ms. Guerra?
I will, yes, please.
Without objection, gentlemen, I would like to take about a 10-minute recess, but before, if that's okay.
10 minutes?
Well, yes, because I have some
It's
other
okay.
business to take care of during that recess publicly. So if you're okay with that, I will officially go into recess, and then would like, if Miss Sharon would please stand, Miss Sharon Berry would like to wish you a happy birthday. Miss Kara has something for you as well.
Let's sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sharon. Happy birthday to you.
What about how old are you now? I mean,
Yeah, you can do that.
We're not going near that, right?
What, he told me to come here?
Sharon, you may have thought you were asked to be here about the wolf. That has nothing to do with it.
I don't like it.
We're in recess. Meeting will resume. The next item of business on our agenda this morning, as I say that, and then I just closed it out,
The letter for the scenic byways.
is consideration of a letter of support for the scenic byways. Mr. Cantor, you have the floor.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I would like to move that we support the scenic Frontier Pathways and Scenic Historic Byways program with a letter to the Board of Directors expressing our support for that. You want me to read the letter?
I'll second the motion. Would you read the letter, please?
Okay, I'll read the letter. It was a notable pleasure for the Custer County Commissioners to formalize by letter our concrete support for your important organization, Frontier Pathways and Historic Byways, at our first meeting in the new year, and that was the last meeting we decided to work up this letter. Our interests coincide in important ways. It would be a travesty for visitors to Colorado to miss the beauty of the scenic byways from Pueblo to Westcliff to Colorado City. Our current and future residents, children, and visitors to the area will be greatly enriched by learning about our history, including the hardships of early silver miners, to the original U.S. Forest Service campsite, the Mingus Cabin, and our combined rich ranching cultural history as expressed by the Beckwith Ranch site. Additionally, by our cooperation will bring needed monies into the local economies, which in turn will enable us to raise more money for the development of the pathways and byways. We wish to congratulate and thank the Frontier Pathways Scenic and Historic Byway for all its hard work and dedication to our beloved home areas. We have come far from the 1994's designation as a scenic byway to its current status as a national scenic byway. We look forward to future projects and improvements. Please keep us in the loop as you compete for funding from the Federal Highway Administration so we can help support your application for funds. Signed, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Ms. Kara, I know you're busy, but I need to interrupt you, please. Can we add the word commissioner on the bottom signature line, please? Thank you.
Keon might work too.
Raise my microphone.
I happen to agree with you. That would be one Mr. Vern, when he comes back in, gentlemen,
Yeah, that was an
interrupt me.
oversight.
And we need to thank him for his work on the microphones too. They spent some hours over here getting this system up and running. Further discussion, gentlemen? Thank you, sir, for
It's a nice letter.
yeah, putting this letter together. Appreciate that. Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of signing the letter to Bill Zwick, the president of the Frontier Pathways and Scenic Historic Byways Association, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. When Ms. Kerr reprints that, we will sign that.
Since I wasn't in here when you made that motion,
Yes, ma'am.
could you tell
I
me
made
who
it,
made
he
the
seconded it.
motion?
I believe Commissioner Kanda made the motion. I think I seconded.
You
it.
seconded.
And the motion was to sign the letter. Sorry, I failed to wait for you to get back and turn on your recording device. You can yell at me after the meeting. You gonna share that cookie? We'll move on. We can sign that when she brings it back in. Next item is a request from the commissioners to the planning and zoning to review the zoning resolutions for timing of zoning permits and also some language pertaining to RVs. Miss Jackie, if you'd come forward, please. Welcome to the table.
Thank you.
Say something
I had one of those when I was in second grade.
about it. I was gonna say.
I thought you made it.
Did you make it in second grade? No, we gotta be careful about that because his esteemed friend
He didn't
made
make
that.
it.
He did not make that. I
It's
was-
a retired, highly decorated colonel. Yeah.
And apparently they sell like
I was gonna,
Those little plastic grids and you go in.
That's all for me, right? Letters.
I was primed to make fun of that until they told me who made it.
So they can see how hard I have to work for it.
Oh, there it is, I didn't see it.
And then, Ms. Kara, I'm assuming there'll be an accompanying envelope.
Yes.
And do you want to deal with this, or you want Kara to mail it, or?
She can mail it.
Okay, so if you'll sign that, and then we can get that back to you. Thank you, ma'am. Miss Jackie, how are you?
Good.
Good. Welcome. Tilt your microphone down, please. You don't have a choice. And then I'll tell you why. Thank you.
Lean into it.
It's not as much for the people in the room, although this position probably is more important than anybody with their back to the audience. It's also to improve the quality of the audio on our live streaming. Floor is yours, ma'am. Wait a minute. Floor is yours. Verbiage is not in your normal repertoire. Documentation?
On what?
Proposed language dealing with RVs.
Oh, if you look in our zoning resolution, it's very confusing.
Okay.
So we need to change the verbiage to say 14 consecutive days instead of just 14 days. And then we require you to have a septic system after camping on your property for 90 days. We're actually looking at other counties of our size because we're not the only ones that are dealing with people camping on their property for over 90 days. So what we'd like to do is get with the planning commission and see after a couple public meetings and either present some more language to that clarifies it better, or to maybe look at a camping permit at no cost if it's your land. But we would like to know, our reasoning is the trash. We get complaints about people camping on their property for long periods of time with household trash, not taking care of it. And even if you are camping on your property in a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, you have holding tanks. We want to make sure that you're emptying those holding tanks in an approved system like the RV park. And also, we would also recommend that you put up a reflective sign, because just because you're camping does not mean you'll be safe from not being hurt. And we'd like to be able to find you by an ambulance or the sheriff's department.
Sign, an address sign.
But I believe that this would be a permit that we would issue, and then that way, if we did it at no cost, and then we asked them how they were disposing of their waste from their camper, at least they could write it down. But we also would recommend and tell them, yeah, you can camp on your property. We need to know,
Come back with a proposed resolution.
in order to change the zoning resolution, the county commissioners have got to direct me to direct the planning commission.
Your reflective sign would that be tied to a length of time? I mean, if somebody's gonna park their RV there for 3 days, it doesn't make sense to me that they need a reflective address sign.
Correct.
So we'd attach some time frame to that?
No, it'd be permanent. Even though there's no one on the property, a reflective sign is only $20.
So it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not there's an RV, it has to do with whether or not the
Sign should be
property's identified by the address sign. So really, this is a separate conversation about the sign.
No, the sign's already in there.
Right, but it's not tied to the RV is what I'm getting at. Okay,
Correct.
all right. And do you know, would you mind, is there language in there now about RVs?
Yes,
Pertaining to
6.5.
RVs? Okay, thank you. Ms. Kara, I don't know, maybe it's working, yep. Yeah, I think she's trying to work on the volume. Thank you, ma'am.
Doesn't have to be too loud.
By the way, we can hear her well, and
Isn't it nice? Even with her back to you, I was thinking about that. And your voice sounds great, by the way.
I
But
can hear you.
it was hard for people in the audience to hear when
It's
somebody.
okay, it's not.
Commissioner Prince,
Might be an
comment?
overstatement.
Their opinion.
I thought it was Celine Dion.
Commissioner Prince?
It's actually a question. Is this something that needs a, hang on. Is this something that needs a motion to direct, or is this something that we
No,
can
I
just
don't
by consensus? Then I would like to suggest that by consensus, we ask the Planning and Zoning Committee to bring back to us a proposal on what they feel is the appropriate way to handle this, and I appreciate you looking at that.
Okay, and the other thing is that things have changed a lot in Custer County, and it was great back in the beginning, but now I'm spending a lot of time, me and the assessor's office, going to homes 3 or 4 times a year to see if they're complete. The way our zoning resolution states it now is that you have 2 years to get weather tight. If they're living in them or complete, but which is no big deal until you start looking at the full picture. The full picture is that in the assessor's office, you have homes that are not complete, so they base it on completely done, you're 100%. So that's how your property taxes is also rated. So you might be living in a home yourself that you've been living in that's been complete for years. You're paying 100% property tax. But the guy down the street has had that house there for 5 years and it's only halfway complete, and he's only paying 50% of the property taxes that's due. So I would like to present that you have 2 years to get your home dried in, and 3 years you're 100% complete.
Whether the work's
it's
not been
complete or not.
completed or not.
Correct.
So 2 years dried in? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 years automatically moved to a completed construction document and taxed
This
accordingly?
has to also come back.
Jack and I have had this conversation a couple times, and I wholeheartedly support this because not to penalize the people who were just, come up in the summer and do some work and eventually after 4 or 5 years finish their home. We have people, I don't want to call them cheaters, but people who are working the system to keep their taxes as low as possible by not finishing the interior as well as they should, which hurts all of the people in the county that are playing the game by the rules. So my recommendation to my fellow commissioners is that we do ask the Planning and Zoning Commission to come back with a recommendation on that
How
also.
to handle the whole picture. Because you do have people that are coming up part-time, don't want to penalize them, and then you've got others like you're saying.
Well, we're giving you 3
And you gotta get
years.
the right amount of
Yeah,
time.
that's
Then
only-
should there be a renewal? They need to consider things.
Correct. And then, let's say in 3 years, I can't make the time limit, then I think you should be subject to a fee to renew your permit. And that gives you
You need to
another
come
option.
back with-
And I have right now a home that was built 15 years ago, and they're living in county roads. So, and then they complain about how our county roads are, but they're only paying.
So they only get a half a complaint.
Correct. And that's what I say, you only get a half a complaint.
So the Planning and Zoning Commission would then add language to address with the possibility of reapplying for a new permit, correct?
Correct. And then,
That's a procedure.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Prince. I got a couple questions for you real quick. So 6.4 A4 talks about recreational occupancy. Any recreational, this is subpart A, any recreational occupancy for more than 90 days within a year shall require an installation of approved septic system. Okay. And will be considered a permanent dwelling. Tents included. This is not just talking about RVs, correct?
correct.
Because it says recreational occupancy, not recreational vehicle. So a tent,
Yurt.
Yurt, whatever that is, okay.
TP.
Yeah, certainly teepee would fall into that, right?
I have a gentleman that lived in a teepee.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I know a gentleman.
Nice to meet you, Custer.
Okay, one other thing that has been brought to my attention, and what we do is we give compliance inspections. So you call up the zoning office, and within that compliance inspection, you got to have certain things done. You got to have a plumbing inspection, you got to have the rough-in and the final. You got to have an electrical inspection that includes a trim permit and a final. Okay, so now it's come to my attention that solar will have to have a permit, and it has to be inspected by the electrical inspection. So now with the new situation that has come to my attention, I have halted 4 compliance inspections because they did not get a solar inspection. See, and so a lot of times property owners need a inspection because they're changing their loan. So I just want you to know that even though solar is considered electric, we're going to put that in our regs also.
By trim permit, you mean trimming out the electrical work, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Prince's assessment. I think we all agree that we're recommending. Just one point I need to clarify on the record. I did not read down far enough. I said the recreational occupancy for more than 90 days. 4E says the category of structure also include tents, teepees, and yurts that are occupied for more than 14 days. So it has a different day structure on it as well.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
Jackie, am I understanding that you want to give them 3 years, and whether they're complete or not, for tax purposes, they're called complete, unless they come in and get another permit? Is that's...
Re-up.
And all these changes are in the zoning resolution, that's where you want to put them.
Yes.
And if they come in and get another one, then they're not 100% complete for tax purposes.
Could be. Depends on how they word it.
Depends if they come in on a Wednesday.
So these documents that you will be recommending we will consider them as an addendum to the planning and zoning regulations.
We'll do a whole new
You're going to do a
amendment.
whole new rewrite on them? Because you had some others too, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. Because I know you didn't on the last one, but we were waiting.
Just say yes, it's okay.
Go ahead, sir.
I just
Quick
have one
question.
What about an RV that comes in, already owns property and has a septic? Do they still need that permit?
No, yes, and they'd be good for 90 days.
What about if they're waiting to build?
Well, let me rephrase that. What permit are you talking about? Sorry.
Building permit.
What's that?
We're talking about a zoning permit here.
Right, to have that RV on that particular parcel.
Ms. Jackie?
It would be a camping permit, so that we would know that you met the criteria of having a septic. Also, people got to keep in mind, you can live in these, and if you have a septic system, but you got to take the wheels off of them, and you got to skirt them and put them permanently on the property. And a lot of people that bring in their RVs don't even know that, and you get in charge vacant land and for your taxes. So it's a good thing.
So when you say people
Only
can,
within 90 days, you mean? They gotta take the wheels off? If they're there for more than 90 days, they gotta take the wheels off.
So it's
Regardless if
permanent.
they're waiting to build, and they do have a septic in place, and you guys
Oh,
already signed off.
like if you filled out, if you got a fifth wheel and you want to build, and then we'll give you permission to keep that fifth wheel on there while you build a permanent dwelling.
Come
even
and
though it's
go.
longer than a 90-day period.
Yes, correct. It's more than 90 days.
Thank you. All right, anything else, ma'am? That meeting is scheduled for March 2nd, is that correct?
Correct, and it's at the town of Westcliff.
Okay, it's not going to be in the courthouse.
No,
Town of West Cliff, in their community room.
the courtroom is overbooked, and they do own the courtroom. So if this continues, I will probably just take them all to the town of Westcliff.
Okay.
And the town of Westcliff is not charging.
I'm assuming you would vote for a new justice center, is that correct? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Politics. Politics.
I want the record to reflect how many files she brought to me.
Wow.
Letters on.
And charge accordingly.
And you just asked him just to file those. He doesn't have to read them or anything, right? Just file them away.
No, I want him to take him home and say, oh, well.
You know what, Miss Jackie, while you're still here, the next item of business is amending the planning and zoning appointments document. Gentlemen, if you have that, I spoke with Miss Jackie when it came to light that we had 3 terms on that document that weren't accurate. So
On the Humane Society?
no, on the planning and well, I guess,
We are on a roll today, Bill.
yeah. Planning and zoning board appointments. Patrick Lynch should have said expires January of '23. Keith Hood should have said expires January of '23. And Dale Mullen should have said expires 1 of '22. I made those corrections pending approval, actually, because we need to vote on them.
So we want a motion to,
Yes.
all right, so I'll move that we amend the appointment list to reflect the changes for,
Thank you.
for the 4 named people you just named.
I'll second the motion. We moved and seconded to amend the board appointments that we made on January the 8th to reflect these 3 gentlemen in their correct terms of expiration. Discussion? Do you need those names again? Do you have that document pulled up? Or I can email this to you as well. Or I can email you the new amended document. Hearing none, any public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of amending the board appointment list as mentioned, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. We're probably going to have to do this again, gentlemen, too, because we did not get 100% response on those board appointments. So as those folks reach out to their people, I'll bring those back to the board. So. Give me just a second here, and I want to double check a document.
Not crowding you out, my counselor.
He wants to stretch out and put his feet up now.
Right.
This is my. There you
Yeah,
go.
we do need to draw a line from there to there.
Piece of tape.
Yeah.
Now he feels like one of the boys, that's what it is, eh?
Did you have
Yeah,
Jocelyn?
where's my big boy?
23,
Yeah, I
23,
don't have it pulled
22,
up.
wasn't it?
I
Patrick,
just closed it.
Keith Hood was 20.
23, I know.
23, I think.
Keith Hood was 23. I can go back and look.
23 for Keith Hood? Yeah.
And Mr. Mullen was 22. You gentlemen need an updated copy of that,
If
or
you
you
would,
okay?
please.
I do too.
Thank you.
I do
What?
too.
While you're doing that, can I bring something up?
You may.
Okay. This may not be very popular, but I'm wondering if it would make more sense, with your approval, Ms. Kelly, for Ms. Kelly to be in the middle and our guests to sit on the side so that the audience doesn't just look at the guests back. Now, I know because you're not
Yeah,
speaking
look at
to...
Kelly.
Don't look at me like that. I'm just wondering if it makes more sense. Like, I mean, when you were speaking just now, it may, I don't know, maybe more polite if they could see you while you're speaking. It's just a thought that maybe the rearrangement.
Yeah,
Clint
let's
spot
move
that. I'm
No.
fine with that.
I'm all
I waited 5 years for
That's
finally
not-
got off that
it's
typing table.
Just a thought. I was thinking, even though we could hear Miss Jackie speaking, I was just thinking it'd be nice if they could see also, you know, see your face while you're doing it.
Speaking as an audience member, I think it would depend on who it is.
There's a lot of truth to that.
You don't wanna look at
All right, I'll shut my mouth.
Well, and now that that chair spins, if somebody from the audience speaks to them, they
They
can
can,
spin
yeah,
around.
that's
They
right.
could.
You can do
You do
that.
like a Linda
Although
Blair.
nobody from the audience should be speaking to them.
Right.
That really shouldn't be allowed.
I ask questions of
Should,
them all the time.
should go through the commission, yes,
Oh,
I
so
know.
I need to ask the chairman
Tell-
the question,
tell
and
that
he'll
person
then
to
ask
turn.
them?
The only reason I bring that up is because we adopted a resolution that we were gonna conduct this commission by Robert's Rules of Orders. Other than that, I don't care.
Fine, I will address you and you can ask them. That'll be
That's
cool.
okay.
Actually, I think it would be perfectly, and you've done this many times, may I ask a question of? Because it would be ludicrous for me to just repeat the question when the person's sitting right there. But if we had 1,000 people in this audience and you wanted to ask somebody a question, it might be difficult.
I will be mindful of that, thank you.
Next item of business is consideration of, yes,
Mr. Chairman?
and I sent, yes, sir.
I just want to make a quick comment while Jackie's in
Yep.
the room. One of these issues with these buildings not being complete, we recently had a structure fire. And when it was complete, the insurance company called us and wanted to know if the dwelling was habitable. And I think it would be a real good idea to get something in the zoning resolution to define habitable. And I would like to think that maybe public health and the zoning office and the fire department could get together and define that. Because being habitable is not just electricity and plumbing.
Right.
It's sanitation
Right.
and it's whether it's reasonable to inhabit.
And I think she's dealing with that right now on a
If we
stru-
go a ways towards the zoning
on a
resolution
structure.
and clarifying that, then she could declare something habitable based on some sort of criteria that then we could all use for.
In addition to or in place of basically a CO.
And debris laying about also prior to the C of O, whatever the case is.
No.
No?
Not unless it blows onto the neighboring property.
That's a different kind of.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's a great point.
It's a good thing your
Kit.
back's to him.
Because I'm assuming habitable would be, like you say, sanitation, probably electrical, running water, although this is a camping state as well, so.
The number one thing is
They can haul water.
sanitation, the state, and actually the state is connected the plumbing code to the septic regs. So that's the number one thing. We don't have a junk ordinance. Trash comes through the county health, Alyssa. Now remember, if I have trash on my property, I can have as much trash as I want. The trash has to leave my property for there to be a legitimate
Violation,
complaint.
okay.
So if I have all my household trash outside and my neighbor doesn't like it, unless it leaves my property and ends up on my neighbor's, we don't have a leg to stand on.
Unless there's an imminent public health from airborne pathogens or something from that, right? I mean, if there's
Raising
dead
rats
carcasses
in
on your
escape
property,
Exactly.
right? But you said household trash, and I get that. We've witnessed it, you and I personally, so I understand. All right, thank you, Kit, good point. Okay, we will move on. Consideration of solutions to the EMS situation.
Did we know?
Did I skip one?
This guy.
Oh,
Humane
I
Society.
wanted to adopt a human.
oh, then I've got mine in a different order on my computer, sorry. Yeah, let's deal with the Humane Society. My apologies, consideration of signing the contract for the Fremont County Humane Society's impound agreement. It's an annual document that we sign. I can't believe it's been a year already. I would move that we sign said agreement.
Better put Tom Flower instead of Tim.
Yeah, I didn't write this, this came to us, so.
You got the E
That's a
at
good
human.
point.
Was this
Yeah.
in our broad packet? 'Cause
Yes.
Yes, I believe it was.
Yeah, it is.
I
Yes.
missed it.
And
sorry.
there's- I can send it to you real quick.
Who wrote it?
That's all right.
Humane Society.
They misspelled it.
Is it spelled that way on there?
It's spelled correctly
It's
on the
spelled
title.
correctly here.
Yeah, it was on the agenda.
Maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't, Jay, let me look.
I saw it on the agenda, but I didn't see the document, but is it the same as it was last year?
I don't believe there's any changes. I didn't go back and look at last year's, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, other than obviously I didn't even look at the signature line, so. I'm okay with just making that change in pen for the signature line. Maybe when we send it back, we can include a note, but,
It's made between the Unincorporated Custer County.
yeah.
Let's see.
Instead of onion. You know what, let's send it back and get it right.
Let's get it, let's just handle it by approving it, and you do the correction with the corrections.
No, I'm
that
not gonna
come
do the
back
correction, it's
in.
not my document, it's their
That's what,
document.
not you doing them, I'm saying
So,
they should hand it back to us with corrections.
Exactly, I would vote against approving it until it's been corrected. I just do not like us to get, I don't like us to get into the situation where we approve something pending some changes that haven't happened yet.
I agree.
So I would move we postpone this until we get an accurate document.
I'll say.
Actually, did I make a motion to approve?
No.
Did, but nobody seconded it.
Correct, so the original motion dies for lack of a second. The second motion stands as seconded. Discussion, gentlemen?
I agree.
Okay. Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of postponing and sending this document back to the Humane Society for correction, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb and do that. We'll send it back. Thank you.
Tom, before we go to the
Yes,
last
sir.
item, I checked with Brenda Gady over at Title Insurance Company on that, the property taxes for the property we sold to, or bought from Colorado College, rather. We got a credit for the property taxes that has not been paid, so it is the county's responsibility out of that, the money out of that attainable housing fund to go ahead and pay the figure that, the 1,000,
So that was for the 11 months
it was for the 11 months.
that we did not own the property.
Right.
So that makes sense,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
because they didn't get
they
the full.
deducted the whole amount.
Yeah, they didn't get the whole 36,000,
Right,
I guess
it was
it
36 even, I think.
Right.
But
And
yeah,
then
that does make sense
they got
to
a
me.
net amount after that, so we need to make the payment. And I talked to Virginia about it, and then I
Isn't it
contacted
weird
her.
to write a county check from the county to the county? Shouldn't that be done like a transfer?
It might, I think just a motion to transfer the funds into the general.
It's not a check.
Or wherever you want to put it, I guess. I mean, it's property tax. I mean, it ultimately goes to Virginia in one way or another.
Yeah, to me, it makes sense. I don't know about writing a check from the county to the county, but they had not paid it. They had not paid any of their 11/12 of that tax because it was in arrears.
Well, it's not
Because
really
it
in
was
arrears
taken
yet.
out
It was
of
taken
the-
out of the purchase price, so somebody needs to pay for January through November's taxes. And because it was taken out of the purchase price, it's incumbent upon us to pay that.
Yeah, taxes were calculated up to the date of closing, so.
So
But
I
we've
would
got
guess
the money.
that's a Virginia Donna question about,
Yeah,
is it a
that.
transfer or is it an actual check? We may have to run a check so that there's the accounting,
Well, you
but
still have that when you transfer it, so I don't know, let's let them look at it.
Well, I can, if I remember, I'll talk to Donna.
Or I'll find out.
Will you talk to Donna about it? Okay. That's all, I just wanted to bring that
Thank
up,
you.
because I got
Appreciate
that answer
that.
from Brenda.
What are you doing?
correcting these. Okay, consideration of solutions to the EMS situation.
May I get the ball rolling on this so we
You
can
may.
address it?
We can address your,
Yeah, I've got
okay.
it.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so let me propose this. given that we've had several workshops and we've listened to several companies, emergency services companies, and we met with the medical board several times, I would like to propose a motion. I would like to make this
You're
motion.
gonna make a motion?
I'm gonna
or-
make
okay.
the motion to select AMR for our emergency ambulance service for our emergency services countywide, and write a letter to the hospital district to invite them to work with us in developing a solution or a path forward to develop the countywide solution using AMR.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to read that motion one more
Okay.
time, sir.
I move to select AMR for our emergency ambulance service for our future emergency service countywide, and write a letter to the hospital district to invite them to work with us in developing a path forward to look at the options and develop develop a countywide solution using AMR.
Okay. Before I restate your motion, sir, then, so the solution is AMR, not solutions.
There are options how you would develop the
Contract,
It
but-
could be, we've gone through many processes. Is it, how do we do it countywide? Is it, got to get it on the amendment to, that fix the tax code, et cetera, et cetera. There's solutions that we have
Okay.
to work together to solve.
Okay. I'll second the motion. Been moved and seconded to select AMR as the Emergency Services Ambulance Company and write a letter to the West Custer County Hospital District requesting collaborative effort in making that happen, basically.
A
Is that
path forward to
correct?
develop a countywide solution using AMR.
Okay. The countywide solution using AMR. Discussion.
Okay, let me finish that now with a discussion. The point is, not only have we met with them, but they have also, the beauty of it is, we use the current resources we have, our ambulances, our people, they have resources, we're not gonna lose any employees, and increase the service by having a higher qualified ambulance crew available in the future, the way that was presented to us in the workshops and in our discussions. That's my
Okay.
piece.
Further discussion? Go ahead, sir, I don't want to interrupt.
Go for it.
No, well,
I was gonna talk about my
okay.
meetings
Well, let
yesterday,
me,
but
That's okay.
yeah,
It's
so,
appropriate.
So I want to just jump ahead. If this motion is approved today, and I didn't write your motion word for word, so I'm paraphrasing, your motion states that we, the Board of County Commissioners, contract with AMR
Mhm.
and ask the West Custer County Hospital District to work with us to make the solution of AMR work.
You know, with them in the discussions, that's our objective, is to collaboratively work how we're gonna improve the ambulance service and develop a way forward for it.
Okay, so follow-up point of clarification then, because I want to tread lightly on either the wording of the motion or
okay.
to make sure we understand what we're voting on. If this motion passes, we will have made the decision to hire AMR. So we could have two ambulance companies up here,
If-
quote-unquote companies, I don't mean,
But that's why we have to work with the hospital district to resolve
Okay.
the path forward using AMR.
so I wonder if, I don't know if I'm making myself very clear here, but I wonder if we should consider requesting the hospital district to work with us to contract AMR.
Well, that's what I said.
No?
Write a
They
letter
work.
to the hospital district to invite them to work with us to develop the path forward, meaning a contract with, using
Right.
AMR.
And as I understand the motion, that language you just read is after we vote on whether or not we're selecting AMR today.
I'm not that's right, I wasn't leaving that out as an option. That was, because
That's
we,
the intent of your
because
motion.
that's my intent, because we studied this today. Husker
Okay.
you have with the
We'll
committee
get to
and
public comment here in just a
as
second.
well as our workshops that we've had. And it seems to me to be the path forward to initiate how we execute it within the
Support the way, the vein of what you're trying to do, I support completely. We need AMR in this county. I've said that from day one, and I will continue with it. I'm not in favor of making the determination at this moment that it is a Custer County, it's a BOCC responsibility to maintain that relationship, is the way I thought I heard
not what I
your motion.
No.
Okay. Let me give you some updates on my latest 2 meetings that I've had since we spoke last. We just had our workshop a couple days ago, and I've met with Bob Tobin and Tom Shepard, who is a director. We had lunch, and then we went to the meeting at the ambulance barn where I met with Ms. Candelera, Ms. Archuleta, I don't know the gentleman's name, but Russ, one of the EMS, and another young man who was EMS. Mr. Tobin attended that meeting also. I'm going to talk about the lunch first, and then I'll talk about the meeting, because they are diametrically opposed to each other, the way it's portrayed to me. I told Mr. Tobin and Mr. Shepard at lunch that I was speaking for myself, although I believe it probably reflects the sentiment of the other commissioners, though we have not had a vote. I said, I believe we all feel that AMR is the right solution for this county. I enumerated on the areas that we all know. Higher quality, potentially quicker service, better training, and this kind of stuff. To my amazement, at the lunch, Mr. Tobin was not opposed to this at all. His biggest concern, which kind of surprised me a little bit, is who would be the entity that would override the contract with AMR. And I said to him, I recognize that the hospital district and the Board of County Commissioners do not see eye to eye on who has the authority to maintain this contract. I suggested maybe we can have a joint organization of some sort, intergovernmental agency agreement, maybe have 2 BOCC appointed personnel, 2 hospital appointed personnel on the committee that would oversee the management of AMR, and a tiebreaker, a totally independent person. I just threw out the name. I don't even know if it would be legal. Have our judge would be the tiebreaker if there was. Mr. Shepard and Mr. Tobin did not discount that at all, thought this is probably workable. They were both of the mind that they understood why we, the commissioners, especially me, because I told them multiple times I'm not speaking for the commissioners, I'm speaking for myself. They felt comfortable that that is a workable situation. I left that meeting feeling very high, thinking, you know what, we're going to have one of these instead of one of these, which is what I was really hoping for. And that all fell apart as soon as we showed up at the ambulance barn, and I made the statement that AMR is the way to go. I understand personalities are involved, and that's personnel that were there, the EMS. There was a time, according to him, that AMR was in the county before, and it didn't work. This was over 40 years ago, and when I brought that to his attention, that I really can't accept unhappiness because of something that was 40 years ago. They said that they want to bring in ability to move